To understand how a boy selling newspapers on a remote beach became the architect of billion-dollar aerospace systems, we have to look at the specific way he handled the collapse of his first ambition. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam is celebrated today as the missile man of India, but his career trajectory was defined by his response to repeated, high-stakes rejection. His journey began in 1930s Ramaswaram. Living in a house on Mosque Street, he spent his childhood watching the mechanical grace of seabirds in flight, fascinated by how they conquered the ocean winds. While he helped his brother by selling newspapers, Kalam harbored a singular dream. He would study the sky, become a pilot, and fly those machines himself. This obsession with flight drove him out of his village and through years of rigorous engineering study, eventually leading him to the gates of the Indian Air Force. After years of preparation, he traveled to Dehradun for his final interview with the Air Force Selection Board, the culmination of a childhood promise. The results were a mathematical heartbreak. Out of 25 candidates, the board had 8 pilot slots available. Kalam placed 9th. Believing his life's purpose had been extinguished, he wandered to Rishikesh. He spent days by the Ganges, struggling to reconcile his failure with the intensity of his desire to fly. It was there he met Swami Sivananda, who offered a radical perspective. He told Kalam that his failure was not a dead end, but evidence of an intense energy being redirected toward a different destiny. Kalam accepted the reframe. He decided that if the universe would not allow him to fly the machines, he would spend his life building the ones that would carry his nation into the sky. By August 1979, Kalam was the director of the SLV-3 project, India's first attempt to build an indigenous space launch vehicle. The eyes of the international community were on him. At the 317-second mark, the second stage malfunctioned. Instead of reaching orbit, the rocket and years of scientific labor crashed into the Bay of Bengal. In the fallout, his mentor, Professor Satish Dhawan, stepped in front of a hostile press. He took full responsibility for the failure, teaching Kalam that a leader's primary job is to shield their team from the weight of public blame. Kalam used that protection to focus. Over the next year, his team worked to diagnose the error, treating the crash data as the only blueprint they had for future success. On July 18, 1980, the redesigned SLV-3 returned to the launch pad. The launch was a success. The Rohini satellite reached orbit, making India one of the few nations capable of launching its own satellites into space. This victory cemented Kalam's engineering philosophy. He began to view public failure not as a setback, but as a necessary diagnostic tool for unprecedented progress. With the Agni missile program, the stakes shifted to national defense under the shadow of global sanctions. The pressure was relentless. Technical glitches forced aborts at 14 and 10 seconds, drawing press mockery. Kalam's team faced international isolation and intense scrutiny. On the eve of the final attempt, the defense minister asked Kalam how he wanted to celebrate the expected success. Kalam didn't ask for a promotion or a holiday. He asked for the resources to plant 100,000 tree saplings at their research center, seeking a blessing of life for a project designed for defense. On May 22, 1989, the Agni missile completed a flawless flight, hitting every textbook marker, proving India could develop sophisticated technology entirely on its own. By remaining anchored to his own spiritual simplicity, Kalam was able to navigate the crushing geopolitical friction that would have broken a less grounded leader. By the 1990s, Kalam was a national hero, decorated with the Padma Vibhushan and eventually the Bharat Ratna. Despite directing programs that consumed billions in state resources, Kalam's personal life remained unchanged. He lived in a rented 10 by 12 room with basic furniture, owning little more than his books and his research. He famously stated that he had no capital to leave behind, no property, no son, no daughter. He saw his role as a deep well, whose only purpose was to provide for the intellectual thirst of others. Dr. Kalam's legacy suggests that the most sophisticated national progress is built on the foundation of personal character. He used his own early heartbreak as the fuel, to ensure that 1 billion people would never have to feel as small as a boy selling papers on a beach.